Recording in progress. Okay. Council? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 7th, 2024 Federal Way City Council meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's great to see a full audience. Thank you. We had some business we had to take care of before we got started. And we also had a big study session prior to that. And also, before we get started, actually, I think the council president would like to address the body.
I would like to say that the women in the audience will know what I mean when I say my mama bear is coming out right now. This community is a wonderful community with people. We had a wonderful meeting with our commissioners talking about how to improve things. Our commissioners work very hard. Our council works very hard. There is no room in this community for anyone to threaten anyone else in this community. It's not happening. And just to let you know, in my past 25 years of running in this community, I'm not the one that was threatened. I'll let you know that. I have had a nightgown hung from a tree in my yard as a threat, as if being hung in effigy. I have had people lie to me when they ran against me. I have had people, but I've never had somebody come up and threaten me. That is not happening in this community. We will discuss that. That's not going to happen in our future. We are going to support each other. And I want to tell you all, we love all of you. We know that we are not perfect, but threatening is not part of what's going to go on in our community. We will address this at a further date. Our ad hoc committee has been selected. It's going to be Councilmember Tran and Councilmember McDaniel and myself. And we will talk about having commissions meeting on some kind of a basis, all of the commissions, in some kind of an annual meeting. But I just wanted to let you all know that something occurred in this community that should never occur again. And so thank you for listening to me.
All right. Thank you, Council President. And if need be, we may have an item at the next City Council meeting to address that. So just to, we're not going to tolerate any kind of behavior that breaks with the decorum of the business that we do here. With that, we've got ceremonies and recognitions. Item 3. I will introduce Chief Wong. We have the swearing-in ceremony of 5 new police officers. That will be followed by the promotional swearing-in of 2 new lieutenants. So, Chief.
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Council President Kochmar, and members of the council. It's my pleasure to introduce the newest members of the Federal Way Police Department to you and our residents. Mayor, just so you know, one of the officers is ill and was unable to make it tonight, in case you realize we only have 4 up here. Mayor Farrell will administer the oath of office this evening. The 4 officers standing before you are entry-level police officers who recently graduated from the Police Academy and are currently in our field training program. Their journey to this point has been marked by difficult training, unwavering determination, and a steadfast commitment to excellence. Now, as they step into their roles as officers of the law, they embody the values of professionalism, empathy, and respect that define our department. As we introduce these officers to our community, we recognize the importance of building trust and fostering positive relations with our community. These officers are quality individuals and people of integrity. We're fortunate to have them as part of our team serving our community. First, we have Officer Sergey Peshkov. Before joining the City of Federal Way, Sergey joined the United States Marine Corps and was stationed in Hawaii. Sergey completed a 2-year aviation program as one of the top students and was selected to represent the Seattle Aviation Program at the international competition in Japan. After college, he worked for Ace Aviation in Renton for 4.5 years. He has 2 sons, ages 12 and 13. They like fishing, playing sports, and camping in their spare time. Next, we have Officer Troy Peterson. Troy earned a Bachelor's of Science in Criminal Justice. Prior to joining the City of Federal Way, Troy was a fitness advisor for the Genesis Health Club and a UPS driver. In his off time, Troy loves to work out, watch and talk about football and baseball, and go for walks at Chambers Bay. Troy's mom is a nurse, and his dad runs his own business, who are Troy's biggest supporters. Next, we have Officer Carrie Bachetti. Prior to joining the City of Federal Way, Carrie worked as an owner, head coach for Sumner CrossFit, and as a personal trainer for Graham Fitness. Carrie enjoys spending time with her kids and families and friends. Working out and staying active is very important to her. She looks forward to the rewards and challenges as a police officer. Next, we have Officer Jesse Perry. Jesse worked in the food industry before joining the City of Federal Way. Jesse's hobbies outside of work include hiking, spending time with her family, and going to her little sister's volleyball games and baking. Jessie is following in her dad's footsteps, who is a sergeant with the King County Sheriff's Office. Please join me in welcoming the newest members of the Federal Way Police Department. Officers, if you can come up to the podium for your oath of office.
Officers, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, Troy Peterson,
do solemnly swear that I am a citizen of the United States
do solemnly swear that I am a citizen of the United States
and the state of Washington, and that I will support the Constitution
And I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and laws of the state of Washington,
and laws of the state of Washington,
and will, to the best of my judgment,
and will to the best of my judgment,
skill, and ability,
skill, and ability,
truly and faithfully,
truly and faithfully,
diligently and impartially,
diligently and impartially,
perform the duties of police officer
perform the duties of police officer
in and for the city of Federal Way,
in and for the city of Federal Way,
County of King,
County
County
of King,
state of Washington,
State of Washington,
and others duties as prescribed by law.
and other duties as prescribed by law.
Congratulations. All right. Oh, and now, I'll just step aside.
Okay, next we'll have the promotional oath of office ceremony for two newly appointed lieutenants. Gary, Jay, if you can come up. This evening, we'd like to publicly recognize and celebrate the promotion of two outstanding individuals, Detective Gary Kopus and Corporal Jay On, to the rank of lieutenant. Promotions are one of the most critical decisions chiefs make in their careers. Supervising police officers is enormous responsibility, and deciding who will make complex, important decisions that occur in real time on our streets is a significant undertaking. Gary and Jay embody the agency's core values, deserves this recognition, and have earned this promotion. First, we'll have Detective Gary Kopus. He's being promoted to the rank of lieutenant. Gary's been a police officer for over 16 years. Gary worked for the Honolulu Police Department for nearly 9 years before joining the Federal Way Police Department in 2016 as a lateral experienced police officer. Since joining the department, Gary's worked as a patrol officer for 4 years, served as a field training officer for 3 years, as an emergency vehicle operator course instructor, and served on the Civil Disturbance Unit. In 2022, due to Gary's exceptional investigative and report writing skills, he was selected as a detective and assigned to the Criminal Investigation Section. Gary was designated as a crime scene manager, delegating responsibilities to other detectives and major crime scene team members at crime scenes. Gary was also a Valley Independent Investigation Team member, tasked with investigating officer-involved shooting incidents. Gary's most recent assignment was to serve as an acting patrol lieutenant in the Field Operations Division. Gary has a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice from Liberty University. Joining Gary this evening is his wife, Siobhan, who will be pinning on his badge. Siobhan, if you could come on up and pin his badge. Gary, next promotion, if you could practice a couple times.
We got time.
Corporal Jay On is being promoted to the rank of lieutenant. Jay's been a police officer for over 10 years. Jay began his law enforcement career with the Camden County Police Department in New Jersey for 3 years before joining the Federal Way Police Department in 2017 as a lateral experienced police officer. Jay was appointed to corporal in 2023, and his latest assignment was to serve as the acting patrol lieutenant on C Squad. Jay has also served several years as a field training officer, training dozens of new officers. An FTO is an essential position in the agency, providing supervision, leadership, and mentoring new officers. In addition, Jay has been selected to serve as the hostage negotiation team and is the department's tactical medical instructor and first aid CPR AED instructor. Some of Jay's accomplishments are in his work with the community. He constantly seeks opportunities to engage with the community in his commissioned officer role and personal life. Jay started the department's Bike for Kids program several years ago, where a bicycle is awarded to kids with perfect attendance at Lake Grove Elementary, which was also the school Jay attended when growing up in Federal Way. Jay's mother, Miss On, will be pinning on the badge tonight. Miss On? We're fortunate to have Gary and Jay as our agency leaders. Please join me once more congratulating Lieutenant Gary Kopis and Lieutenant Jay On for the significant achievement in their law enforcement career. Lieutenants, if you can come up to the podium.
All right, lieutenants, let's make this official. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name. Do solemnly swear that I am a citizen of the United States and the state of Washington, and that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States and the laws of the state of Washington, and will, to the best of my judgment, skill, and ability, truly and faithfully, diligently and impartially, perform the duties of lieutenant in and for the city of Federal Way, County of King, State of Washington, and other duties as prescribed by law. Congratulations, Lieutenant.
All the Federal Way PD family members are here to support. This is your opportunity to exit. So it's perfectly, and make sure your loved ones give you a tour of the police department if you like. This is your chance. Thank you for coming.
Let's give them all a big round of applause. Thank you again. Okay, and now we are joined by two of our legislative delegation. Thank you, Chief, and congratulations to our new officers, and congratulations to our new lieutenants. Now we are joined by our State Senator Claire Wilson and State Representative Jamila Taylor to give a end-of-session wrap-up. Thank you for joining us, Senator and Representative.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Nope, that's not us.
Oh, yeah, we've got Thomas. He doesn't have his cape on, but
Stephanie, I think, had already, she wrote it in. Is that it? Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. You're good. Thank you so much.
Just clicked it.
Okay. I'll be your clicker.
All right, go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Good evening, and thanks so much for having us, Mayor Farrell and Council President Kochmar, members of the council. Happy to be here today, and I think last session we were scheduled to be here, and we had something called a special session. That was called the night that we were scheduled to kind of share out. So today what we'll be doing is giving a high-level overview of the federal-wide priorities as you shared with us and as we were part of the legislative breakfast. And know that these are the session 24, but we also did things in 23, and there may be some things we'll be able to throw in. We have 15 minutes to do this, and so hard to do a 60-day session in 15 minutes, but we'll give it a shot. But just to start, wanted to make sure people know that, we work on a 2-year biennium. So this was the second year of our biennium meeting. It was a supplemental year. And oftentimes when we think about budgets, it's when we have fewer dollars, and we do things like make revisions and align dollars and just fix things from the first year of the biennium that we may have not projected correctly. And the second year of a biennium is 60 days, first year is 105 days. So this was a short session. Wanted to let you know, just as a recap, that we passed 373 bills as two chambers that went to the governor. 297 bills passed with strong bipartisan support, and 236 bills passed unanimously from both chambers. And I think there's often a misnomer. People think a lot of bills are controversial, and basically there are a number that do float up to the top. Majority of them are bipartisan and shared by both.
So our presentation is centered around the priorities that you all provided to us in December of '23. So that's where we're going to focus most of our attention. We did cover many, many, many more topics than what's on here, so we're happy to have further conversation around things that still impact the district, but are beyond what the priorities are for Federal Way. So to recap, public safety, amending the police pursuits and the car theft, reasonable standard, amend youth access to counsel, requesting additional mental health and addiction resources, King County Guardian 1, the helicopter replacement, and I'll just quickly go over housing, more housing, and more housing, and being able to keep people in their homes. And then there were some budget requests that came out of the city, turf ball fields, EV charging stations, and then transportation-related requests that are just really big asks. And we'll get into the details around that. And then again, operating budget requests, expanded behavioral health, mental health, and addiction resources, and net zero building incentives for residential, commercial, and government structures. All right. So last year, the legislature passed Senate Bill 5352 to strike a judicious balance on police pursuits. And then this year, there was an initiative introduced to go even further. All three of the members of the delegation voted in favor of the initiative, and so there is more flexibility for jurisdictions to amend their policies. And my understanding is the City of Federal Way is going to have a higher standard than what is available in the state, mostly because we have unique needs that are different than some of our communities that need a different standard. But we just want to remind folks that we still have concerns, and we would love to see the most innovative and best practices used, and that's why I believe that the city is instituting different standards, higher standards than what's just as the baseline. So we want to continue that open dialogue and make sure that everyone is safe, law enforcement, individuals who are being pursued, and innocent folks who are just minding their business, you know, trying to get through their day. Also, in 2023 special session, we came back with the Blake decision, and the Blake decision was a Supreme Court decision that basically decriminalized possession of drugs. I was was the lead negotiator for the House for the Blake decision, so we had to strike a delicate balance here in terms of ensuring that we're actually putting resources into preventing folks from being involved in criminal behavior because of their addiction, because that's just an endless cycle, as you've seen with the City of Federal Way's municipal court. A lot of those individuals come in and out with the petty crimes. So it sets the penalty for possession of controlled substances at a gross misdemeanor with a max of 180 days in jail, 364 days for the third and fourth offense that they are convicted of. We also created the crime of public use of drugs, which we did not have prior to the Blake decision. So this is addressing the issues of people using drugs in the parks and publicly, and that is also a concern that folks have around, being able to enjoy our parks. We also want to make sure that we have a pretrial diversion process with judicial oversight. This means that there's a whole set of eyes of individuals who are looking into what's happening with that individual who's come into our criminal justice system. And of course, as on top of our $1 billion in investment in our behavioral health system that is entirely broken. Let me repeat that, entirely broken. Okay, we have a lot of investments that we needed to make that were specifically tailored towards the population that are involved in the criminal justice system, and we made $63 million in comprehensive treatment and support programs, reentry, and thinking about recovery. How does someone have all the resources they need to stay sober, to be able to get into the next job, and to have the supports that they need to continue with their journey and not cycle in and out of the jail system?
We also know public safety is an issue and a concern for all of us. There's no one that isn't concerned about that. And we also know, as we think about individuals that are involved in our carceral systems and in our child welfare systems as well, and juvenile systems, that most of recidivism and most of the issues happen within 72 hours of release. And so a lot of the focus that I've been doing as far as human services and about thinking about what it takes to intervene early and to do prevention, thinking about how we resource and we support better young people, and also how we help individuals reintegrate better to be more successful in reentry, but also to be the neighbors that we would like people to be as they come back into communities. A couple of examples of that are Senate Bill 5908, which was extending foster care up to this point at age 18. Young people are aged out of foster care and basically are the ones on the street, and many of the ones that you find homeless, many of the ones that get involved in drugs and alcohol, crime, and all of those things, especially retail crime and theft. And so part of what we need to be able to do, as I think about this, if I was raising my children, you don't kick them out at 18. I make sure that they have a launch and that they're successful in that launch, and my job as a parent is to support them. With our state-raised children, I see it no differently. So this is really about how it is that we help young people successfully transition into stable homes, how we consider and help them with jobs, because what we know in research is they're less likely to be involved in criminal activity, and they also are less likely to have their own children who are involved in the welfare system, and that's critically important as we think about multi-generational approaches. The other thing, again, is when we have adults that are leaving our incarceral systems and facilities, they came out with $20 up until 2023. I mean, two $20 bills, $40 was gate money. $40, and think about being incarcerated for a long period of time, and it's $40. Less than 20% of individuals who are in our Department of Corrections come out with a reentry plan. So part of the focus is how do we help people consider how it is that they're going to reenter really the day they enter a system, and then what it is we need to do again to help people successfully reintegrate into the community.
And I'll quickly highlight the fact that we had House Bill 2153 as a follow-up for the catalytic converter theft issue. That is a huge issue that's happening all over the state, in particular in our particular community. So it was monumentally successful when we instituted this, the House Bill 1815, where I believe the stat was that catalytic converter theft went down by 70%. And that was through, public-private partnerships and finding ways to just cut it off at the early end where tracking. There's a whole lot of details that I don't want to bother you with today. Then also simply, working on addressing the license plate covers that are obscuring the officer's ability to see the license plates. So, sometimes when you think about a bill, you think it should already be obvious, but it's not always obvious. And these little things can actually have long-term and beneficial impact for communities and keeping people safe. We also invested $1.75 million in youth violence prevention programming this biennium. We had done $2 million in the prior biennium for South King County young people. It's not just about giving a hand out, it's giving a hand up, getting folks connected to mentors, pre-apprenticeship programs, and other opportunities so that they're not just hanging out doing all kinds of things. A new funding opportunity was the Retail Theft Task Force. This is something I sponsored this year because I was getting a lot of information from the Retail Association around there needs to be multiple strategies on how to deal with not only the organized retail theft, but the petty theft, the poverty-related petty thefts that are going on. Again, these are folks who are cycling in and out of your municipal courts. And there's something usually tied to the exploitation, drugs, other issues. And so they want to find ways to move the 80% of the people who are not as part of the organized theft, and then allow the resources of a prosecutor and law enforcement to really spend their energy on the organized part of it and get to the higher ups.
We're going fast, but we're going to keep going. I was so happy to be here tonight. I watch council meetings usually from Zoom, and we've been hiring a number of new police officers, and really happy to say that we've continued and maintained our efforts to make our community safer through expanding both recruitment and improving the retention of a diverse, highly trained law enforcement workforce. And part of that is in 2023, we invested $11 million in opening 3 new criminal justice training commissions. And we've had the training center in Burien, CJTC, and we've heard over and over again how difficult it is to get in because of the size. And so we're able to open one in Vancouver, one in, I believe, Pasco, the other in Yakima, and have seen graduating classes. And every class has been full since we've opened the new centers, and that's been really successful. The other thing I'll show and share is that the local governments no longer have to cover quarter of the cost of the training new cadets at the academies. So we're able to budget $4 million, and the state will be able to cover 100% of that cost, and will reduce the burden for local jurisdictions.
Behavioral, mental health, and addiction. So we wanted to also address the issues of behavioral health and concerns through a public health lens. So you think about prevention, interventions, treatment, and other recovery supports. So in terms of prevention and education, we're addressing the fentanyl and substance use prevention education in schools and universities. We also had House Bill 2112 that addresses the fentanyl and opioid prevention at higher education institutions. Ooh, a lot of words here. I'll let Senator Wilson talk about Senate Bill 6109 and some of these Senate bills.
So 6109 is the Children and Families Fentanyl Response Bill, and there's been the largest population of individuals that have been impacted by this fentanyl crisis have been infants and toddlers. And just recently you saw in Everett 2 young children that were impacted and an 11-month-old that passed away. And so protecting children from that is really important, and this is a public health crisis. So 6109 really talked about how it is that we provide clarity within existing laws and also ensure that kids are protected and small children are protected when they need to be, but also how it is that we work with families and support families and provide resources for families when in fact they are drug impacted. And oftentimes our first response was to remove children, and oftentimes safety might be bringing things into the home. And so it's really around how it is that we keep children safe, but also provide resources and supports to families who are impacted by addiction, and how it is that, again, we keep children and we keep families on a pathway to health.
We'll go into the budget investments, and again, you have a copy of this doc, and you can follow
Dig
up with us.
further,
Yeah, dig further into all of this. So budget investments, again, another $145 million from an opioid settlement that comes directly into communities. And again, these are going to be opportunities for the city and the county to apply to have those resources available to the residents of Federal Way. We also invest $250 million to expand opioid treatment, education, awareness, and outreach and prevention. Another $245 million for behavioral health and outpatient care. And then our children we don't have any inpatient care for children in the state who are experiencing a behavioral health challenge. And so we're establishing one in Vancouver where it'll be available in the state. So when a child, especially one who has co-occurring disorders, so like developmental disability and a mental health crisis, they're sent out of state at our expense. So we have to address that and make sure that we have opportunities here. And then, of course, for our behavioral health resources for our partners and tribal communities that are also impacted. Muckleshoot is the closest tribe to our community and have members who greatly benefit. Also, thinking about the tribal resources, they serve non-tribal members as well. So that means that there are also resources for City of Federal Way residents who can go to the tribes for support and services. I know.
I should probably look up and say, how are we doing on time?
For all the time you guys put in, we'll make time. Just,
Okay.
Just go through your
I'm like,
presentation.
I feel like we're speaking in order to
You're
hit the
going fast.
15
You're
minutes.
making time.
Okay.
Housing, and housing. So housing, we wanted to address housing supply, and we're making incremental changes there. So Senate Bill 6175, creating more affordable housing by encouraging the conversion of vacant commercial buildings. This is a huge opportunity for communities to reimagine where people live. Removing the bureaucratic barriers to create more housing. So a lot of local jurisdictions are having challenges getting things moved along because they have barriers in terms of approving housing opportunities. Expanded workforce housing accelerator program. So again, programs like the MSC housing program on 272nd, it's workforce housing over by the new light rail station that's coming. We want to have more and more opportunities that are helping workforce communities be able to live near where they work. And then, of course, modifying middle housing requirements and definitions of a transit stop. We understand that the city wants as much local control, and so my hope is that the city will continue our conversations and continue the feedback on our housing policy that is being set at the state level. But the crisis is only causing costs to go up, not only for renters, but for homeowners. When the cost of their home in terms of their property taxes going up because the values are going up way too fast and they cannot keep up with those costs, we're having seniors going into homelessness. We wanted to address housing supports and expanding the property tax exemption for seniors and disabled folks with ADUs on their property. Creating more flexible living options, co-living. So thinking about in the state of Washington, it was not legal to live as like a roommate, a certain type of roommate situation. We're making that properly legal. And creating additional protections for people who are living in mobile homes. In South King County, there's a number of mobile home communities that are at jeopardy of putting people into homelessness, because it's not only the mobile home itself, that property is not easily transferable. And so those individuals are more likely to end up homeless than they are to be rehoused with their mobile home somewhere else. We have made unprecedented amount of investments in the Housing Trust Fund, which is, the investments that we make directly into communities for building affordable and workforce housing. So $527 million. And one thing that I'm particularly proud of as the chair of the Developmental Disability Advocacy Caucus, we've been able to increase the investment directly appropriated for developmental disability housing from $5 million to $50 million. We need to catch up. These are some of the folks who have the most fixed income and have the least options out here in community. And then basically we have a lot more work that needs to be done, thinking about how do we create the entire ecosystem. Addressing condo liability. That's an issue that probably will come before my committee at the Civil Rights and Judiciary. And so how do we encourage property developers to build more of those opportunities for single individuals like myself? I don't necessarily want a single family home, 3,000 square foot, but I would love to have a condo that I could move into here in the area. Don't tell my mom that. I'm still living in her basement.
So I will just talk a little bit about education and workforce. And we made historic investments because what we find is there are many school districts, especially smaller school districts, especially in the east side of the mountains, that have a very difficult time passing bonds and in order to fund schools. And so we were able to make investments in the SCAP program, which is the School Construction Assistance Program, and increase $79 million in support for school construction. We also included $68 million for Skill Center. Many of our students here in Federal Way use Puget Sound Skill Center, which is run through Highline and does many programs. And as we know, we've been really amping up our career and technical education facilities. There's also money going to small district and tribal compact schools. And also another increase, $355 million for K-12 education, which includes a raise on the cap for special education and more funding for individuals who are working in our special ed classrooms with kids with significant needs. I'll also say we increased funding for schools' daily basic operating costs, better known as MSOC, so there's more money that's going in there. We also were able to think about economic security for families and what we can do because families are struggling, and we know that, and we hear that every single day. So one of the things that I've been working on for a long, long time is the issue of childcare and where it is and how it is we're caring for our youngest. So we were able to expand eligibility for and increase the number of childcare slots and also increased pay for providers, and that was an additional $115 million, and that's in addition to the Fair Start for Kids Act, which was a $12 billion investment 2 years ago. And the thing that I think is important for people to understand with Fair Start for Kids is within the legislation, we were able to put in subsidy rates and eligibility that would increase yearly until 2030. So where every year individuals used to have to come back to fight for those small increases in either subsidy or copay, decreasing the amount a parent has to pay, because that, we've heard about the copay cliffs. What we were able to do is put that within the legislation, so up until 2030, there will be a gradual increase. And I think that's critically important as we think about economic recovery still, as we're thinking about recovery from the pandemic. We were also able to increase food assistance for seniors and the EBT support for children, and also increase capacity of food banks. Critically important right now as we think about food insecurity for so many of the families in our communities.
Given that the city has awareness of EV chargers and the need to expand that, I don't know about you, but I drive in Federal Way a lot, and I see a lot of electric vehicles. Electric vehicles. And so it's exciting to see that we need to improve and increase our infrastructure to support our community members in the area. But broader than that, part of our clean energy effort, we made incredible investments through the CCA. Everything from the school buses, having electric school buses, to clean air projects in the K-12 schools, which has been a critical issue in the corridor that we are in with the airport. And I'll let you read through the rest of this information. And these are investments that we're making to help families, purchase a heat pump, purchase weatherization for their home, purchase the things that help them stay in their home and afford to be here, but also be environmentally advanced. All right.
All right, next thing up is 30th Legislative District specifics. And you'll see two things on this slide. One is what really are called member provisos, and those things that are very specific to the 30th Legislative District that oftentimes are requested by community organizations and by others within the 30th. And the other are statewide requests oftentimes that impact the work that we're doing. So you'll see the first bunch, the Northside Flood Reduction Project, was an Algona project that was funded, and it will avoid flooding but also accommodate a future sports field that they're planning. Phase 1 for the Cultural Public Market, you've heard about that. EV chargers at the Federal Way Community Center, glad to see that we were able to fund that. The Climate Resilience and Environmental Equity Campus, and support for El Centro de la Raza. There was the money for the development and for the purchase of the land, and they had some leftover support they needed for the land acquisition loan. The African Community Housing Development received dollars, and then the two that were statewide that will again impact South County and the 30th in particular is Equitable Recovery and Reconciliation Alliance, and it's providing culturally relevant support to small businesses, and also, as we said earlier, the Retail Theft Task Force. And I'll just note that, again, supplemental year, you won't see the big dollar amounts in either the operating budgets or in transportation or capital, and that's just based on the fact it's a supplemental year.
And we'll provide you an additional document that includes the 23 budget requests that we won for the district. When we were going through this, sometimes we get ahead of ourselves. We're thinking about the future and we forget, oh, this is what we did last year. And so we'll make sure that we get that to you. Another example is the increase in judicial education, making sure these judges know about domestic violence, know about the trauma-informed care, things like that. Also therapeutic interventions, especially since there's such a burden on district and municipal courts to handle these cases that often were related to poverty crimes, petty theft, drug possession, and such. They need to have the proper resources to intervene with someone who's coming into encountering the court system.
And these you've seen before. These were the ones that we were able to work toward, and this is our transportation budget. So things that were funded was $1.8 million for the widening of State Route 164 from Auburn to I-90, final work on State Route 167 southbound lane, the 4-lane alignment, the new highway freeway to connect southbound traffic on State Route 509 from SeaTac to I-5, the improvements for South 314th, which were $225,000, and then the extending of the HOV lanes on State Route 167 to reduce congestion, and that's between 410 and State Route 18, and that was to the tune of $18.1 million, but they had no new dollars this session. So these were projects that had been in the works and had been on the list for Federal Way for a period of time. These are the next two slides, and I'm not going to do a thing with these other than say to you, each of us in our areas have expertise, and in our committees have areas of expertise, and you'll see themes, if you will, or bills that we work on or work toward that really are impacted by, again, those areas, either that we chair a committee for or that we actually are known because of our expertise in. And the first slide is the legislation I was able to pass this session. And you'll see a lot of work around human services. You'll see work around Department of Corrections, not on the judicial side, as you heard Rep. Taylor talk about, but more on what I call the climate and culture, not only what happens inside our institutions and facilities, but what happens about reintegration and reentry. You'll also see early learning. You'll see K-12 there. and because those are kind of the areas in my portfolio and in my committees that I cover. But I also wanted to highlight, again, the two specific bills, and the 6109 is the fentanyl response bill. That was probably the most difficult bill I worked on this session, and would encourage you to check that out and to look at it and read it, because 12 buckets of services and supports that we should be able to access some dollars for in this community. And then the other one I wanted to highlight was the Halal Consumer Food Protection Act, and that came from a group of individuals, Pakistani and Muslim Americans in our community, who came to me and asked whether I could do something around halal bill. And so it was a huge concern and a big deal for our community, and we're one of the first in the one of the first on the west side of the country that has done a bill. And I just have received 2 letters from city councils in California, interestingly enough, thanking me because of, again, the populations in their community and how important that is. And it's now attached to the kosher bill, so it's kosher halal consumer protection. And we were able to do some things because we couldn't do labeling because that's federal, but we were able to do something to really support making sure that individuals are preparing and selling appropriate food. Then then you see Representative Taylor's, and hers really, again, human services, that's an area we share. She talked about DD, developmental disabilities, and really runs the caucus there, and we've been able to do a lot of work together. But housing and judicial and the work around behavioral health, mental health is really, again, the buckets. And so between the two of us and Rep. Reeves, we're really able to have a broad swath of the kinds of services and the legislation we work on.
Yes.
Whew.
Thank you. Let's see. And just a reminder, these are our policy committees that we are chairing or serving on. This is just a sliver of the work that we are doing on behalf of the state of Washington in the legislature. We have many roles that are formal and appointed by the governor or the legislature, but also informal roles in stakeholdering. And so we do our best to stay as engaged with community, but balancing the responsibility of getting the information to and from our colleagues around what is impacting the 30th district. And so we do our best to stay in touch with you all and to stay in touch with the residents of the 30th district as well. It's been an honor to serve this community and to elevate my leadership as a Civil Rights and Judiciary Chair. Our court system needs a lot of help, and as you already know, as one of the few municipalities that has its own court, you understand the intricacies and the costs associated that are not even obvious on the surface of everything. And so making sure that you have the access to the resources that makes those interventions. I know that the judges here are very proficient at getting our residents and those who commit the acts within our district into the next step and hopefully not coming back.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that comprehensive presentation. And also, I want to say, I thank you for making reference to Representative Reeves. She had a conflict, couldn't make it tonight, and we were trying to figure out a date where it worked, but we did want to get you in here. So, and thank you for mentioning the great work that Representative Reeves does. So, thank you very much again, once again, for that comprehensive. It's amazing at the breadth of what the legislature takes on, even in a short session. So, Council, are there any questions for our legislators, for the Senator and Representative? Councilmember Honda?
Thank you for your work.
Thank
Have a
you.
relaxing summer if possible.
Yeah, door is always open, and that's the other thing. And, the work is really about all of us and making our community safe and giving kids opportunity and doing as much prevention work as we can, as opposed to intervention. And so just really appreciate all the things that go on in this community and beyond, because the 30th is Federal Way, but we also have our other communities outside as well that need to be served. So thanks so much for having us.
Very good. Thank you. Council President?
Well, thank you very much. I know that you're doing a lot of work, and I know that a lot of what you've just talked about tonight is what the legislature is doing as a whole. And so thank you for your part in that. And I know that some of the bills you've talked about are bills that you've signed on to, but not necessarily bills that you sponsored. But I really would like to know, and I appreciate that, what I'd really like to know is, we have, some things that are happening that the council knows nothing about. For example, you're talking about, and thank you, I did know about the retail task force, and thank you, that's a great thing. We're both pleased with that. I'm not sure, with the cultural public market, that's not something, I think that was something that was initiative from the council, that's a private group. They may have a
Yes.
nonprofit status, I don't know about that. But, and I do know about El Centro de la Rosa, but I knew nothing about the African community housing wraparound services. I'd like to know more about that. And then support to small businesses that are culturally relevant. I don't know anything about that. That would be interesting. So I'm wondering, and by the way, I do want to say thank you for your work on foster care. And that's Senator Wilson and Rep. Taylor, thank you for your work on behavioral health. But what we really need in Federal Way, and what we've asked for, and I know that you've been working on this, and I do know, thank you, Rep. Taylor, I know that that is broken system. What we really need is a treatment center here so that when we have, it's not necessarily kids out of foster care, it's really a lot of the people that are coming, the homeless people coming into our community are coming in from Seattle, believe it or not. And I got that straight out of somebody at the Multi-Service Center. But they're people that are not getting along in Seattle, but then they're coming here to live in our woods. But we really need, when they do get into a problem, that we have, and if they do want help, that we have a place to send them. We don't really have a place, like when they're being released from the hospital, a place for them to go within our community. We really do need to work on that. So if you wouldn't mind keeping that in mind. And one other question I'd like to ask is, are you ever, I know that Rep. Reeves has a coffee that I haven't been able to make it to. Do you ever have that kind of a meeting with the community other than?
I'm open and I meet with everybody and anybody, so you will always find me either Poverty Bay or you'll find me at Ebony and
But
Ivory.
do you have specific times or?
I have not had specific time because I'll meet anytime somebody reaches out. I don't have office hours. Rep. Reeves has office hours because she has other things that she does. This is kind of my full time. So
I
I
appreciate
am
that.
happy to meet anytime with anyone.
Well, I know that, but I think what would be helpful, I don't know if this, you don't need to, what I found when I was a representative was if I set a time weekly or time monthly where people knew where they could go at a certain time, I had people come that I'd never met before. And that was really interesting for me to have that. I don't know if that helps, but I would come if you had something at a set time, just to let you know. But anyway, thank you for all your work.
Just remind you that you could get on our listservs. So if you as an individual member, a resident of the city of Federal Way, we have monthly newsletters that go out. So if you want to get on that, that's another way to find out what's going on. And the state allows community organizations to make requests of the members. So there's a lot of things that happen directly through us that may not go through the city of Federal Way. We were providing you context around things that are benefiting the city, not necessarily what was a priority for you, but I think that I don't think that it would be in opposition.
Oh, it's not in opposition, it's just we'd like to know about it. Yeah.
Because like the El Centro Skating Rink, I would just want to report out that building is now being utilized in ways that I can't imagine.
Yeah,
and so they
yeah,
have
I
like
know.
1,000 families that are going to the services every weekend. So it's one of those things, that cultural institution that we wanted to say.
Sure, one other, I'd just like to, the reason we need to work together, for example, and I've been in this for a long, long time. For example, it used to be called Belmar Mobile Home Park, and now it's just called Belmar. But, we were able, as a council, to, before that mobile home park was going to be sold, to pass an ordinance that anybody, if the property sold, that anybody who had a residence there would receive, I think it was $50,000 in relocation. And so, and I noticed that you mentioned about mobile home parks and housing supply and not wanting to lose that. And $50,000, of course, in today's dollars wouldn't make a dent. But if you work with the communities or with the city of Federal Way, we have other options maybe that you're not aware of that we might be able to help you with.
So this is where we would have the individual come to the city around resources that the city can involve themselves in. We, what I would say is that I work very well with the lobbying team of the City of Federal Way and coordinate the efforts through the priorities. So I, would love to connect with you as a resident, elected to elected, but I just want to make sure that I'm understanding the priorities of the city in the city council. We're responding to that first and
Right.
foremost. And the individual requirements or requests that you have, I want to hear them when we have our one-on-ones.
Thank you.
Who is spearheading the retail theft task force?
I am. I was the sponsor of that, that provides.
I meant on an operational level.
The Retail Theft Association,
Okay.
I can connect everybody.
And the other thing is we work as a delegation when we're looking at funding. And so, Council President Coach Mar, if on the Federal Way priorities, there was something about mobile homes, or there was something about an issue that's very much part of a conversation, but I've never had a conversation, or nothing's come forward for me from the last couple years from the city council that has been anything other than transportation and some of those other things. So happy to talk bigger and bolder about that, especially as we think about SUD and MOUD treatment, because we've had this conversation before, and we need to continue this conversation because we have lots of folks in our communities that need support.
Yeah, the biggest thing is the treatment, trying to find.
Well,
some kind of
that's what I'm saying, it's that
Exactly.
substance use disorder, and, yeah.
Maybe we could
yeah.
And this
concentrate
is
on that.
where local leaders like yourselves are integral in approving those treatment centers being cited in the city.
And then with regard to the Climate Resilience and Environmental Equity Campus, I'll ask Tanya, our Economic Development Director, to get in touch with you to get some more details about that.
Yeah,
Great.
the CCA, or no, that's Rep. Reeves,
Oh, I see, that's, so that,
the climate resilience in the 30th, just a second, I want to make sure I know what you're
yeah.
talking about.
The Climate
The
Resilience.
Climate
and
Resilience and Environmental Equity Campus,
Yeah, 250?
yeah, that's Rep. Reeves.
We got where that didn't.
I'm not sure what,
Okay.
I don't have details on that.
Okay, got it. Okay, and then,
Mayor, one other thing, I did have a member of the public who asked if you wouldn't, both of you, if you wouldn't just, Senator and Representative, if you wouldn't stay around until after the public comment, that some people would
Well,
like.
I have other obligations tonight, so I planned for this, so I will watch it online.
all right.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sapadowson?
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. That's overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff you guys did in such a short amount of time. And they've talked about a few of those things. But I also wanted to talk about the childcare because we're doing a childcare provider appreciation day today, a proclamation. But someone who had 3 sons in childcare all at the same time, not making a whole lot of money and not qualifying for any benefits or subsidy, it was tough. And I can only imagine because I know it's gone up considerably. And so the fact that you have the slots and increased pay for providers is just a great thing. And thank you so much for doing it because it's a workforce standard. I mean, it's part of our workforce development and workforce, and without it, people are not going to afford to work. So you have to make a choice, and I'm glad that provision is there, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and now, we are going to go into my emerging issues and report. And we'll start off with my report on recent events. I'll just wait until that gets queued up.
What's your work of magic? Now we can share. So we go, yeah. Thanks, Thomas. And then, yeah, just.
There we go. Okay, so, as you can see, we had the Federal Way Little League Jamboree on April 20th. It was so great to see all the students when they're, all the players with their uniforms, and they all came out in the field, team by team. Many members of the council were there. That's the picture on the bottom left. And the only running I did all day was just going from third base to the pitcher's mound along with our other council members there, but it was great to see him. Then, what's that? You ran? Okay, I jogged. I kind of trotted. All right, I walk fast. Whatever. I was wearing running shoes. Just kidding. I'm kidding. All right. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so it was great. Thank goodness. All right, so we had then Parks Appreciation Day, the picture right to the right, that Shelley Pauls and team. And you know, John and your team, thank you so much. And that what's happening over at the Blueberry Fields, and Cheryl Hurst was there as well, and a lot of volunteers and council members, and they took what was really an overgrown area in Arkansas. This is down there by the Brook Lake Community Center, and have really brought it back. It is really a gem. And I hear when these are in bloom in July, August, people will come, you know, and really get like buckets full of blueberries, and it just looks great. And it's really, you know, this was something that was really historic to the area. So thank you so much for members of the community, our parks, our people that put in extra time, and a lot of folks in the community came out. There are huge teams that were out there working. All right, and Marlene's 48th anniversary. You can see the third picture to the right. That's me and Kim Hennish. She's been with the company, I think, 30 years or 29 years. And I think it's 29 years. I think next year is going to be 30 years with Marlene's. They've got their 48th anniversary. They just celebrated that. It's just fantastic. And boy, do they have a big base of people that love them. And then when I was talking to Kim, she was talking about, hey, can you work with Sound Transit to figure out when are we going to get our parking lot completely back? And so what we hear, and so we just happen to have the person in the very next day, the person who's the head of that entire project for light rail in our conference room back here that we were meeting with and talking with, and we meet with them very regularly about everything that's going on with light rail. And they said by the end of this year, by December of this year, they should have their parking lot back. So that's good news for them, good news for the community. Then we had the Chopped Charity Challenge, the Bridging a Gap fundraiser, April 26th at Federal High School. That's me and a couple of our volunteers there, Vivian and Mary, that were there for the challenge there at Federal High School. It was great. I never knew they could make those. They talked about the feeding program for the kids, and I have to tell you, they just do such a phenomenal job, you know, and yeah, don't they? It's just absolutely fantastic. Where they give these backpacks to, you know, kids that need some support at home with meals, and they have taken that to the next level. And it was great to see so many council members there, and also you know, members of the community. The school district is all in. And how many schools do they have? 20? Yeah, it's over 20, yeah. And, you know, the city of Federal was a sponsor, and we're just, you know, we're really touching my heart, because it's not just even the kids, it's the families in those homes that really rely on those, on that food. So it was really a very special day. And boy, when it was coming down raining, I thought you know, the heavens opened up. So let's see here. Next, we have got the Swap to Your Drop. This was last weekend. That's me and Amanda at the South King County Tool Library, and it was the swap event. I know that the Councilmember Honda was present there, and David and I swung through, and it was great. And took a tour of the Tool Library, and that's right off Pack Highway and 341st. They're doing great things there, and boy, do they have just a ton of tools there. Really successful. Yes.
For the first time, we served over 200 people at the clothing swap.
Yeah, it was great.
It was amazing.
Yeah. And we saw Senator Wilson there. Senator Wilson was there, and Catherine Festa was there, members of the public, and it was great. I didn't find anything to wear, but I'm just, but anyway, it was fun. Okay, then David and I then went right over to Master Nas Mayor's Cup, and that was at Federal Way High School. That started off a few years ago at Decatur High School, and it started off where they were using one side of a gymnasium. And then it went to two sides. And then it got so big that this is a statewide tournament for Taekwondo that Master Na puts together. There were thousands of people there. And it was at Federal Way High School in the new gymnasium, both bays of the gymnasium. It was absolutely jam-packed. And that's really you've got kids and parents and grandparents and, it was absolutely fantastic. And they serve hot dogs, which was great. So then we had Raise the Curtain fundraiser that same night, this past Saturday for Center Stage Theater on May 4th. And that's, we were there with the council president, Angela Bayer. We had a couple of council members there as well. I know the Councilmember Honda was right there at the table with us. And Center Stage is really part of the beating heart of this community. And we're going to be talking with many resident arts organizations about really increasing our level of support. We've heard the support out in the community for our arts organizations, and I met with the Symphony last week. We're working on an agreement and an MOU with them. I invited at this fundraiser for Center Stage to come in, and we need to talk about their MOU to make sure that we're supporting our arts organizations because they serve so many people in our community, and to do so in a responsible way, but also to make sure that they succeed. So that's really important. Okay, next. Okay, these are the upcoming events. We've got the Farmers Market the day before Mother's Day. So if you have a need for, and we all do, flowers for Mother's Day, this Saturday for opening day, May 11th. What time is it open? 9. 9 it opens.
Well, 10 o'clock is when they have it.
Yeah, there'll be a big event, and then doors will, the things will sort of open at 9. I'll get there early, I gotta get two sets of flowers, as I always do. Exactly. And they normally have some really good flowers there, but get there early. Okay, we've had the 10-year celebration of Touch a Truck. Now, they're over there at their new location over at Wild Waves, and that's also this Saturday, and I believe that's it. Help me, time, John?
11 to 2, sir.
11 to 2. So you can go to the farmer's market, then you can go to Touch a Truck, and that's a great community event. Kids love that. They've got all kinds of trucks and all kinds of vehicles, and kids just absolutely love them. And so do adults. Okay, Senior Advisory Commission, Senior Health and Resource Fair, May 16th, and that is at the Performing Arts and Events Center on Piedmont Reichbauer Way at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then we've got the South King County Scholar Athlete Fund Annual Breakfast, that May 18th. And that's our own King County Councilman Pete von Reichbauer. We're going to have Steve Rabel, the former Cairo newscaster and former Seahawk great. And then I think also the very first Hall of Fame player for the Seahawks, Steve Largent's going to be there as well. And they're going to be, they're hosting this event. Pete hosts this event to raise money for local sports, local high school sports. And so they raise money for very worthy causes. So, is that anything else? Oh, then we've got the Marine Hills Pool Day Parade, May 18th. We've got Blue Poppy Day, Rhododendron Species Botanical Garden on May 18th. Boy, May 18th is going to be a busy day. So last Saturday, we had five events that we went to. Multi-Service Center is a Spring into Action auction, dinner and auction. May 18th is that night. That's going to be in Renton at the beautiful hotel there on the water. And then we've got the second annual Arts Festival, Arts Explosion, May 31st to June 2nd. So we've got a busy spring and a lot happening in our community. And we wanted to share this. This is the new mural at the Sound Transit Garage, and it was just recently completed. Once a month, we have our management team meetings, that we have on Monday with all the directors and myself, and we're sitting there, and I saw this, and I saw it kind of coming into as they were working on it, and I wanted to make sure everybody got to see this wonderful new art that is there. That is on the west side of the parking garage that's being expanded, the Sound Transit parking garage, and that faces Town Square Park. So it was really nice and beautiful, and wanted to share that with everyone. Okay, that completes my mayor's update and report and upcoming events. Now, everybody, before we get into public comment, we've got 3 presentations. Council, is it okay if we do the presentations before public comment? Because we've got some folks here. Okay, if I don't hear an objection, I'll just go ahead and do that. Okay, so presentations. This is 6A. Proclamation Provider Appreciation Day for Childcare Providers, May 10th, 2024. Councilmember Assefa Dawson.
Thank you, Mayor. As stated before, and as we all know, childcare is essential to our community and a workforce issue. And so I'd like to invite 2 childcare providers to come up to the podium. Monica Silva of Happy Earth Daycare and Lydia Tedla from Faith Childcare to come to the podium while I read the proclamation. Childcare Provider Appreciation Day. Whereas the City of Federal Way prioritizes the well-being and development of children and recognizes the importance of necessary resources for quality childcare and childhood education. And whereas over half the children under the age of 6 nationwide are estimated to spend some time in a non-parental care arrangement on a weekly basis, which provides critical enrichment opportunities and nurtures development for children of all backgrounds. And whereas childcare providers and childhood educators are essential to providing quality and safe childcare while allowing families the ability to work. And whereas our future depends on the high quality of the early childhood experiences provided to young children today as a worthy commitment to our children's future. Now, therefore, we, the undersigned mayor and city council members of the City of Federal Way, do hereby proclaim May 10th, 2024 as Child Care Provider Appreciation Day and urge all citizens to recognize child care providers for their important work. Signed this 7th day of May, 2024. While I come down, if there's anything you guys would like to say, please do so.
I want to say,
Oh, please come to the microphone. Please, thank you.
my name is Monica Silva. I'm from Mexico City. I came here 30 years ago, and I'm happy to help especially single mothers that they have hard time finding a daycare. I'm able to help them even if they don't qualify for DSHS. I'm able to help them.
Hi, my name is Lydia, and I opened the childcare during the pandemic. My husband and I have 3 kids, and because of the school closure, I had to stay home. So I also realized that there was a need in childcare, so I had to open the childcare. And at first I didn't know that I was gonna like it, but later, looking like my kids are growing, like my husband and I came here alone. God bless us with 3 kids, and now I have many kids call me auntie. So I become like auntie, and I have a lot of nieces and nephews. So this childcare is a very hard job, but it's joyful, and you get to see like kids growing up, and I get to see like I'm being helped. I'm being useful to the kids and our community. And thank you so much for this recognition. And I would like to thank you for Lydia. She is like my resource. She is my dictionary, my everything. I just go to her if I need anything.
Same for us.
Yeah, so I would like to say thank you. And also I wanted to say thank you to Trinis for your support. And the City of Federal Way, the Permit Center, they're so helpful. While we were expanding our phase childcare, they were so helpful, and I would like to say thank you to them also, especially a special thank you to Mike. He was so great and helpful. So thank you so much for the recognition. Thank you.
All right. Hey, John, are there two lights out over there? Oh, are all the lights not on? 4 lights. Yeah, well, and those right there, are all the lights not on? Exactly. We're trying to save some money, John? What's going on, man? Oh, okay, all right. Thank you, good save. They give me a bad time, because if I'm looking out here and the blinds are kind of cattywampus, I get those fixed, so, thank you, John. Okay, next proclamation, Older Americans Month, May 2024, Councilmember Honda.
I'd like to,
Older.
I would like to invite the Federal Way Senior Commission to come to the podium. All right. Whereas the City of Federal Way includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their time, their wisdom, and experience to our community. And whereas in 2019, I remember that year, the City Council created the city's first ever Senior Advisory Commission, recognizing the value of utilizing older Americans' experience, knowledge, and viewpoint to advise the City Council on important issues facing the senior population. And whereas we can best demonstrate our gratitude and esteem to older Americans by fostering an environment in which they can lead useful and satisfying lives and find the encouragement, acceptance, and services that they need. And whereas this population continues to enrich our daily lives by providing a fine example of responsibility, resourcefulness, and determination. And now therefore, we the undersigned mayor and city council members of the City of Federal Way do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Older Americans Month and encourage the community to support older Americans in our lives by inviting, attending, and participating in the Senior Health and Resource Fair at the Federal Way Performing Arts and Events Center on May 16th, beginning at 10 a.m., signed the 7th day of May 2024.
All right.
Why don't you introduce, oh, wait, one more.
Just one more over here. One, two, three, then just one more. Thank you.
Why don't you introduce yourselves and talk about what's going on and what you guys do?
Yeah, please.
Okay. My name is Lana Bostic, and I'm the chair of the commission. And we have Debbie Harvey and Tammy Zidak. Zidak, how do you say it? I just call her Tammy. And Cheryl Volham and Ken Pratt. There are 4 more commissioners that aren't able to be with us tonight. I just wanted to thank you for this and also for your continued support for the commission. And another invitation to the community to come to our Health and Resource Fair on next Thursday at the PAC from 10 to 1. It's really fun, so hope everybody can come. Thanks.
Thank you. Actually, David, where'd David go? We missed an entire page on the emerging issues and report. I did want to say, David, can we get there's a couple things I want to bring up, because Lana reminded me of something, and I realized we forgot an entire page here. Is there a way you could pick that up?
Let's see here.
What page did we miss? Oh, yeah, that's not even on here.
Right there, okay. So, next page. Right there. I did want to let, in this chambers, we had the Sound the Alarm Red Cross, King County on April 27th. This chamber was filled with volunteers and Red Cross, and they went out into the neighborhood to, Kevin, how many homes do you think they went to? Over 200 homes to install smoke detectors. The Red Cross was here, a bunch of volunteers. Kevin did a great job, and so I wanted to make sure that we give Kevin, our emergency manager, a big thank you. And actually, what made me realize we missed this page was when Lana got up, and because Lana's in the next picture, in which I'm actually doing Tai Chi at the, I know it was embarrassing, but luckily there was no running involved, and it was the, but yeah, Wendy's been talking about doing Tai Chi for a long time. When she saw the pictures, she was a little embarrassed for me. But it was Pacific Bonsai and Qigong Tai Chi and mindfulness event, and that was at the Pacific Bonsai Garden. And if you look real close, you could see me in my pose. And then we had Storming the Sound, EJ, and you guys, we had over 30 elementary schools down at Brook Lake down this past week. And how many of your staff were there, EJ?
A lot.
Yeah.
40 plus, and a large number of Parks employees as well.
And you guys, it was really, they had some really, really talented, dedicated people out there explaining, wildlife to kids. And while it was kind of rainy and cold, and you notice the picture is taken underneath the tent, Dr. Pfeiffer was there, the school district was there in force, and well over 30, thousands of kids. It was absolutely fantastic. And then we had I'm Hooked on Fishing, and Ben got to catch 2 fish. I only caught 1. And that's a whole nother story. Ask me about it when you get a chance. And then Make Music fundraiser breakfast at Jimmy Mac's last Saturday as well. So they did a great job. I need to make sure we mention Make Music Federal Way and the Lions. They did a fantastic job. So anyway, we missed that, so thank you very much. But thank you. So it was all about seeing Lana that made me realize we had forgotten that. All right, now, next proclamation. We've got, actually, Councilmember Honda, do you want to introduce the next one?
I would, thank you. So May is, there's a lot of important things going on in May, but May is Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And the Native Hawaiian is something that was recently added. And in our proclamation, we didn't add it this year, but we will next year. And I wanted to call attention to the fact that we do recognize that. We have a large Pacific Islander community here and a large Asian community here in Federal Way, and we do want to recognize the work that they do. I am Secretary of the Asian Pacific American Municipal Officials for National League of Cities, and all across the country, cities are recognizing this month and the importance of this month. So we would like to call to the podium Arlene Marston, who is from the Pacific Islander Community Association of Washington. And Arlene, you can go up to the podium. Oh, okay, but you can go up there too, I'm sorry. If you can, yes. I have Arlene here, if you could.
I just corrected it.
Huh?
I just corrected her name.
What?
I corrected her name.
Oh, you corrected her name, but you didn't tell me.
Oh, I told him.
Oh, don't look at me. I'm in the middle.
And is
Silisa Busa, there we go.
Is President Hong Sok Kim from the Korean American Association here? I don't see him either. He was going to come too. So we're going to read, Councilmember McDaniels is going to read the proclamation. And I just have to say thank you for welcoming me into your community. And I had a lot of fun watching the seniors play bingo the other day. I wanted to sit down and join them because I kind of like to play bingo. So thank you so much. And thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So go ahead.
Okay. Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. whereas Asian, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Americans Heritage Month is observed during the month of May to recognize the contributions and influence of the Asian American, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islander Americans to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States. And whereas Federal Way is proud to be home to a large Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander population that contributes greatly to the prosperity and enrichment of our city and our region. And whereas Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities are deeply rooted in both the United States and the state of Washington, reminding us of both proud and painful chapters of our history. And whereas the city of Federal Way is proud to celebrate Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and commemorates and contributions, sacrifices, and accomplishments that Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders have made to our nation, state, country, and our beautiful city. Now therefore, we, the undersigned mayor and city council members of the city of Federal Way, do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and call this observation to the attention of all of our residents. Signed this 7th day of May 2024.
All right. So thank you, Mayor Farrell, Madam Chair Coachman, and members of the council. My name is Sealy Savusa. I'm the Executive Director of the Pacific Islander Community Association, and we're a statewide organization. However, our home office is here in Federal Way, right down the street on 9th.
Yeah.
So I want to thank Councilmember Honda for coming over and being there at the time our senior program was happening. We call our elder program the Cultural Weavers Program. And so it's really nice to be here to watch the elder group receive acknowledgement for their work. But I also want to thank the council for making the revision in adding Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander to the legislature, or the legislation here that's here for the city. So thank you again. And I apologize again, I didn't announce who I was to you, Councilmember Honda. I feel really bad. I feel like my mom is scolding me from heaven.
It's my responsibility, not yours. Thank you for
So
being here.
thank you so much, everybody, for this acknowledgement. We really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Go to everybody. All right, count to three. 1, 2, 3. Let's take one more. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Hey, my turn, my turn.
Oh, sure.
Can we have people run up?
Thank you, sorry.
And then just one more this way. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. All right, perfect.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, council, well, thank you, and thank members of the public for our indulgence. So we wanted to make sure we did that before we move on to the most important part of the evening, which is public comment, to hear from you, the folks that we work for. These are the pink sheets that I have. I'll call off a few, and if you could queue up and be ready to go. Remember, green means go, yellow means you've got about 30 seconds, red means please stop. And we all know the rules, they're printed on the sheets. So we've got Betty Taylor, right off the bat, and then we've got Jeffrey Tancredi, Anna Patrick, Yolanda Brooks, Lana Bostic, Bob Derrigan, Kevin Morris, Dara Mandeville. Okay. Good evening, Betty.
Good evening. Okay, well, my name is Betty Taylor, and I'm honored to be here. I got two things I want to talk about. Okay. Ezra Nehemiah Taylor. Remember the name. Never forget. He's a person, not just someone lying on the street, not just someone that went to a party for a friend. He was an innocent victim of circumstance, just standing up, holding his phone. Next we hear gunshots, people running all over. Ezra was standing. He got shot by a man who has no regard for life but his own, a ruthless man with no conscience who, after shooting many people, proceeds to flee from the scene on a motorcycle. I'm going to stop right there. Gun violence has to stop. And the way it stops is with us. It's with us. We have to take a stand for what we know is right. I'm honored to say that the court case is done, the trial is done with good results, and I'm happy. I stand here happy to say that the justice system works. Yes, our justice system works. We need to keep these gun violators off the streets. They need to be held accountable.
Yes.
They need to be held accountable. So I'm happy right now. I'm so happy right now. Uncle Joe, you them up here just shaking, but I'm okay. I'm okay now. So now I'm gonna, so we know that the trial is the sentencing date is June 21st of this year. So, and it was good, real good. Yes, real good. So I'm gonna talk about my second thing. Oh God, I got 1 minute? Okay, hang on, just a minute. Okay. Dear Honorable Mayor and esteemed members of the City Council, I come to you today with a heavy heart but a steadfast resolve on behalf of the tenants of Traditions at Federal Way. We are a community in dire need of your intervention and support due to a concerning pattern of security breaches that have left many of us vulnerable and financially devastated. As residents of this community, we have faced repeated break-ins that have resulted in significant losses, particularly impacting those of us who are low income and can ill afford to replace stolen belongings. Some items tragically are irreplaceable. Adding emotional stress to our financial burdens. The current storage facilities provided us are woefully inadequate in terms of security. Y'all, I only got 11 seconds, but what I did do, I made copies. I don't want to go over the time. I want to respect the time, but I did, this is really important, and I'm asking for help, but I don't want to run over my time because I want to be mindful.
All right, thank you, Betty.
So I have, this is the same thing that I read, but I want each of the city council members to have one. This is really important.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And we're gratified to hear that you got justice for your grandson. Jeffrey Tancredi.
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, and City Council members. Good to see you. Yes, Mayor, as we all know, King County bought the extended stay hotel for the purpose of housing homeless drug addicts without a requirement for treatment. In their presentation, there was no short-term, near-term, or long-term goals for this program. It's essentially, it's a flop house. It sits next door to the Uptown Square community and next door to the Mirror Lake neighborhood. As I said before, I knocked on many doors in the Uptown Square neighborhood, as well as the Mirror Lake neighborhood that sits right behind. Mayor, they are opposed to this hotel housing drug addicts without a requirement for treatment. Quite a few residents in the Uptown Square community told me that they were not aware that King County bought the hotel, because I pointed over there from where they live. I said, it's right over there. They were not aware of that, that King County had bought that hotel. They weren't happy about it. There are many young children as well that live in Uptown Square, because a lot of the little kids answered the door. When the King County representatives came here, they came out into the hallway, and without mentioning anybody's name, but I asked the person that was in charge, I said, respectfully, I said, if this is such a great idea to put drug addicts, homeless drug addicts into a hotel without a requirement for treatment, especially in a neighborhood, I said, respectfully, why doesn't the King County executive have a hotel built in his neighborhood and then put the drug addicts in there for 1 year and then come back to Federal Way and tell us how it went. And he just stared at me. No conversation, no dialogue. He just stared at me. If this is such a great idea, why, respectfully I respectfully say to the King County Executive, if this is such a great idea, why didn't he come down here and sell this to us? Why didn't he come down here and say, you know, you guys, this is a great idea. This is really going to be a good idea. This is, you know, and lay it all out. But he didn't. I've never seen him. And I say that respectfully because he's an elected official. It's like rules for thee, but not for me. Council President asked one of the representatives from the Urban League, what's the success rate? He danced around the issue. He didn't say, you know, it's less than 5%. And that's very unfortunate that he just, oh yeah, Auburn likes this. So it's very unfortunate, but thank you so much, Mayor, for allowing me to speak. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Jeffrey. Anna Patrick. And then Yolanda Brooks.
Good evening. Mayor, Council President, is right, did I get it right? Council. I am going to speak to our, can I just address our state representatives even though they left and they don't really seem to want to hear what I'm
Senator
saying,
Wilson
or-
is listening. She's
Oh.
online, and she is online. I would
Oh,
confirm. And
okay.
She's on the line.
All right. So I'm going to talk about the bill, specific category of bills that has had a huge impact. There's many categories that have had a huge impact. Well, housing and crime. So I have looked through a lot of bills that interest me, and I have found, I sort of categorized them. There's about 25 criminal-centric laws that our state reps have focused on in the time that they've served. These are laws that support criminals. Many others are centric around high-need individuals, which we need in our community, especially with all of the low-income housing. We have the highest number of housing units, low-income housing units in all of King County, drastically larger, and there's more coming because of our state representatives. So a lot of this is pulling from the taxpayers, which are moving away. They're getting overly burdened, and they're finding other places to live that don't have so much crime, and the taxes are lower. So a lot of my friends are moving away, and, you know, I don't think Claire, or I don't think our state reps really care about that, but I want to speak to the fentanyl too. There's a Keeping Families Together Act that has led to more overdoses among children. That wasn't mentioned in their presentation. Diverting funds from treatment to housing and rent relief, that wasn't mentioned. Highest number of housing units, I already mentioned that. We have more coming because they're now trying to bring more housing to our empty warehouses where jobs are leaving because of the crime and higher taxes. I'd like to see a focus on a balance in housing brackets. Washington State Department of Commerce has presented this data too. There's a lack of transparency. I asked when they were leaving, are you going to stay and hear our public comments? They said they would watch on Zoom. I kind of had a hard time believing them. These meetings that they have, they're exclusive. Sometimes we don't even get notified. The one in Algona is a perfect example. It took the initiative of the people to change some of these very destructive laws that they put in place in our city. I care about my community and the people that live here. Can I finish just a little tiny bit? There's been so much violence and destruction in our community. There's plenty of blame to go around, but so much is directly related to the laws created by our current legislators, and their actions speak volumes. Thank you.
Yolanda Brooks.
Good evening. And just a little precursor, I am aware of the HOA legislation that has been passed. My name is Yolanda Brooks, and I'm speaking tonight regarding homeowners associations, specifically Campus Highlands Homeowners Association, which is managed by Around the Clock Incorporated located in Kent. They recently sent out postcards to all of the homeowners spelling out some rules that hadn't been voted on. I am specifically addressing their rule regarding homeowners parking their vehicles on public streets. I have reached out to the city attorney's office, the City of Federal Way Public Works Department, and Washington State Attorney General's office to determine how a third party can control what occurs on a public street, maintained by the municipality and paid for by taxpayer dollars. This is what I learned, and I'm looking for a clarification or confirmation from you. That a HOA has a contract with the homeowner, so whatever documents the homeowner signed when purchasing the home or voted on and passed, they are bound by. However, the HOA does not control the public streets. They cannot control parking on a public street by anyone except for the HOA members they have a contract with. That the HOA enforcement of the rules lies solely with them, including any parking issues. They cannot use law enforcement to enforce HOA rules. This tells me if there has been a voted on and approved rule that homeowners in the HOA may not park in front of their homes or on their public roads, it is up to the HOA to enforce. They cannot utilize the police department, law enforcement to run plates or complain about legally parked vehicles to obtain owner information. Any enforcement by the HOA is strictly civil. And I'm looking for a confirmation, and they said the city attorney might have an answer for me.
Yolanda, I'll tell you right now, we've got the police chief here, city attorney, but I'll tell you right now, people could park on public roads. And there are rules about you can't leave your car there longer than, how long, chief?
24 hours.
24 hours. But we're not going to, the public roads are the public roads, and they're open to the public.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
And if you want, actually, Brian, can you maybe get some contact? We've got it right here, but maybe talk with Ms. Brooks just for a moment. Thank you for coming today, and then we'll make sure maybe give her a business card and to where you can get an email response from us as well.
Okay, I spoke to a representative in the city attorney's office, and so I have her information. And I don't live here. I was asked by members that live in that HOA to come and address this issue for
But
them.
what we're going to do is the city administrator is going to give you his business card, and feel free to, give, and maybe even write my email address on there and the city attorney's, so you'll have some information leaving the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Lana Bostic.
Hello, Mayor, City Council, and public. My name is Lana Bostic. I've lived in Federal Way for 43 years. I am on the Senior Advisory Commission, but I'm speaking just for myself at this time. I wanted to acknowledge the important work our representatives and senator have accomplished. Representative Jamila Taylor and Christine Reeves and Senator Claire Wilson, and what they have accomplished in the last legislative session. Here are a few of the bills Christine partnered and passed. She partnered a bill with Treasurer Mike Pelliciotti to introduce, and this is Bill HB 2244, to improve retirement security for Washington residents by establishing automatic enrollment. She also supported HB 1895, which makes improvements to the Working Families Tax Credit Program and supports the TANF, which is Temporary Assistance for Needy Families Program. On the election bills, she supported HB 2494 and HB 2182 that provided funding for maintenance, supplies, special ed, transportation, nurses, and counselors in our public schools. She also works to support environmental stewardship and climate change, which is important for our whole state. Senator Wilson continues to champion for early caregiving and education and criminal justice reform and support our community. And Representative Jamila Taylor helped pass HB 1903 and HB 2118, which increases gun safety in our community. She also works with Family Law and Public Defense, passing HB 1455 and HB 1652 to support young people in the legal system. And I apologize if some of this is repetitive from what they said. She also sponsored several projects that will help with housing small businesses in our area and several other well-needed projects. I just wanted to thank our excellent legislators from the 30th LD, and I know that they will continue to work for their constituents. Thank you. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Thank you, Lana. Bob Derrigan.
Well, I shouldn't have been sitting down there very long. My legs have given up on me. Hi, everybody. I want to give you a special invite to come to the Arts Explosion at the end of this month. I'm going to be the featured poet there. And it's going to be zeroing in with children's art. It's going to be cool. So it'll be an interactive thing with me, with them. And I'll be featuring some of my favorite poets, like Ogden Nash, who is a neat humorist. And one of the poems I'll be sharing is about a puffin. And they're interesting animals that live in the Arctic. And the poem goes like this. Oh, there was once a puffin, just the shape of a muffin. And he lived on an island in a bright blue sea. And he ate little fishes that were most delicious, and he had them for supper, and he had them for tea. But this poor little puffin, he couldn't play nothing, for he hadn't anybody to play with at all. So he sat on his island, and he cried for a while, and he felt very lonely, he felt very small. Along came the fishes, and he said, if you wishes, we can have you for playmates instead of for tea. So they now play together in all sorts of weather. And the puffin eats pancakes like you and like me.
There we go.
I'm so proud of the city. And this other one is a little bit more serious. I've written another a number of them, and this is one of my favorites. It's called Omnipresent. Omnipresent is a word that means you're everywhere. God wanted to be everywhere, so he created a mother. With his eyes, her eyes, his light of the world caresses a child. With her ears, his voice sings with acceptance and guidance. With his voice, he speaks of better todays and new tomorrows. With her frown, he directs our destiny. With her touch, he says, I understand, I'm here. And with her smile, he praises, well done, my good and faithful servant. Happy Mother's Day, mothers.
Thank you, Bob. The Poet Laureate for Federal Way. Thank you so much. That poem is on the side of our refrigerator now, when we got it on Saturday, so thank you very much. Ben did give it to Wendy, so thank you. Kevin Morris. And then Derek.
Mayor, Council President, council members, I had an idea of what I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to change it right now. Betty, I'm thrilled that you're coming to the right conclusion, but you used the words that a lot of people use without a real definition, and that's called gun violence. Gun violence, the gun is not violent. It's the person that uses the gun that creates the violence. And thank goodness the person that created the violence, in your case, is going to get his day. And the thing that frustrates me the most is 2 of the 3 people in our congressional body spoke here today and they will do everything they possibly can to take weapons away from law-abiding citizens in the 30th District and Federal Way in the state of Washington. Gun violence by bad people, and they want to take the firearms from law-abiding citizens that are trying to protect themselves. That's the end of that story. Now my other issue. The community center is still an abominable embarrassment. This pool, the spa, everything, there are people leaving that area that I used to exercise and swim with. I've moved out to the North Point Center, and a number of other people have. A lot of other people are going down to Kenton to Auburn because they don't see any end in sight for a remodel of a locker room, a ladies' and men's locker room, and a sauna and a steam room for another year and a half, and a sauna, or rather a spa, that takes over 2 years to get a daggone motor or pump. It's still inoperative. I went there a week and a half ago, and I said, this is it for me. And you know what? I thought to myself, with the strong mayor governance that we have in this city, the buck stops with you, Mayor Farrell. And I suggest that we address this and get it taken care of. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kevin. All right, thank you. Well, John, we'll talk about that tomorrow. And Dara Mandeville.
Good evening. A couple quick thank yous. Most importantly, for Susan, I know that you brought it up a couple meetings ago. The flag box, I love that. Whoever was involved in that, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our community needed that. I think we need to let people know that we have that.
Actually, can you hold on? Can you restart her timer? I do, thank you for saying that. I'll tell you, Bill Vedino got on it. Roger Flyger was involved.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
John Hutton, our Parks Director, got involved. In fact, John got it, right away. So there's a whole.
It was quick,
Yeah,
really quick.
It's right out there. So I just want to let you know. All right, could you restart that?
Oh,
timer?
I'm
Okay.
short-winded tonight, believe it or not. I know, glad you guys are sitting down. So thank you for that. I wanted to say thank you to the Parks Department. I've been super, super involved at Camelot. My kids went there a million years ago, and I'm still really good friends with a lot of really, really long-time teachers there. And they said that the sound project last week or the week before was the best ever. And I know in today's society, our kids need something to look forward to, and they wouldn't shut up about it. They said that it was absolutely incredible. The kids are still talking about it. They're building lessons and programs off of and they we had lunch there, and it was a big deal. So for kids, that's a big deal. I had a question, and I don't know if you can answer it today or just maybe at the next meeting, what the commission process is. Applying to a commission, getting interviewed, selected. I've been approached by 2 separate people about 2 separate positions, not that I'm a point person, but just in conversation, that they've applied for positions and then kind of never heard anything about it. So I'm just curious what the process is. That may be something that we want to make a little bit more public for people that are interested in the position. And then my last comment, and I know that this is nothing for you guys, but you made it my biggest comment, and why I signed up for comment originally, was because our legislators were going to be here. So I hope that Claire's listening. I'm disgusted with what our legislators have done, and for them to come up here and talk about all of the great things. I mean, granted, some great things have been done, but to hear them talk about Yakima and all of it, I don't care. I don't care. The crime and the fact that we had to do an initiative process that cost over $6 million to get the police pursuit laws changed for our officers and our safety, they don't get to take credit for that. So that's all. Just have a good evening. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. And Dara, with regard to the commissions, so what we do is, we put the applications out. In fact, actually, because we've got a couple of commissions that have a number of vacancies. So if you looked on page 3 of the last edition of the Mirror, we took one of those, we had like a half a page ad that had like an Uncle Sam thing saying, we need you, Federal Way needs you for commission. So we're doing a lot of outreach individually, public-wise, to get people to apply to commissions. So Stephanie, actually, you want to talk about Stephanie, can you talk real quickly about how we do the interviews? Because we've got some vacancies, but we only do the interviews when we've got a couple of applicants. We don't do them one by one, but can you talk about that?
I was going to say I could reach out to Dara tomorrow and follow up with her, if that's fine too. But how it works is the applicants come in their interview during a special city council meeting, so it really only happens, the opportunity is only twice a month, first of all, and then it's based on the council schedule and how many applicants we have. So we don't normally set a special meeting for one applicant or two applicants. We wait till we have 10 applicants, and hopefully we have 4 applicants for one commission, so that, you have a fair amount of people interviewing for the spots that are open. So right now, we just have a bunch of 1s and 2s of 5 different commissions, and so we're trying to get that together and on the council schedule to get it set for interviews. So that's kind of how it works, but you can always reach out to me and I can help you, or I can call you tomorrow.
But we're working, that's actually what we were hearing. I was actually talking to another commissioner who called, was a human services commissioner, and they were concerned about the number of commissioners. And then we were looking at some of the others, and that's why we put the ad out. And we're going to really be very intentional about recruiting commissioners to make sure we fill those vacancies. Okay, thank you. A great question. All right, is there any more public comment?
Nope, I don't have anybody else.
Well, thank you, everybody who came and testified. Very much appreciate their comments. All right, we're on to item 7, Council Committee and Regional Committee reports. Parks, Recreation, Human Services, Public Safety Report. That is Council Member Walsh.
All right, thank you, Mayor, and thank everybody that's here. I would first like to just make a comment on the Parks Appreciation Day and let people know that there were 130 volunteers came out for Parks Appreciation Day, serving at the Blueberry Farm Park and Sahali Park, and they did 390 hours of volunteer labor. If you're to put that into the term of along an FTE, that is that's about 2.5 months of an FTE working. And so the volunteers really make a big difference, and it's appreciated, and volunteering not only helps beautify the parks, but it creates community spirit. And with that, the only other thing that I have to end my report is our next Parks Commission meeting will be a week from tonight. And so look forward to seeing some of you here for that. So.
Very good. Thank you very much. Land Use and Transportation Committee.
Oh,
Council-
and also
yes.
a big thank you on the flag box as well. I mean, that's great to have it.
Yeah, we got right on that. And actually, John was so fast, Roger Flygare was trying to put it together, and then John got it all done, and so a lot of folks came together. It's really nice. Thank you. Land Use and Transportation Committee, Councilmember
Yeah,
Dovin.
thank you, Mayor. First of all, our next meeting will be June 3rd, I believe, at 5 p.m. here in the council chambers. Last night, we had a briefing on Sound Transit. A couple things that the public needs to know is that at the Farmers Market on May 11th, and I believe the Farmers Market on May 18th, Sound Transit will be there to talk about the development of the TODs. There'll be a mailing to people, I believe it's 1.5 miles away from the center of the future Sound Transit, to come to some meetings to talk about what could go there. I think that we're going to talk about how to get that word out to more neighborhoods around the city because that's a very important thing for citizen input. Councilmember McDaniel asked that we could add to our agenda over the next couple months some discussions about zoning south of the mall down to where we call Christian Faith Center. We've had some discussions on that with our community development over the years, so eventually we'll be bringing that back up. And we'll be talking about the airport that's coming up, some of the things that will be happening with their new development. And it was also brought up that, and we heard it tonight from our legislature about disability housing and different things, and Councilmember McDaniel asked that we bring that onto our agenda to talk about in the future, so we will be doing that over the next couple months. And lastly, I think we heard something about parking in streets. Shortly, in another couple months, we'll be having our reintroduction to talk about motorhomes in the neighborhoods. So there's a lot going on in land use over the summer, so thank you all.
All right, thank you. Finance, Economic Development, Regional Affairs Committee, Councilmember Tran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The FedRex Committee met on April 23rd under the leadership of Councilmember Paul McDaniel, because I was out of the country. Thank you, Paul. And I also have the note from our Finance Director. Thank you, Steve. So I'm gonna just read off this note right here. 6 council members were present and heard all presentation. 3 items on tonight's consent agenda were forwarded for approval. The first one is monthly voucher at the normal level. The second is monthly financial report. We are still watching REIT revenue with concern. The third item is Fit on Health subsidized membership agreement, which help enroll individual with membership at the community center. One item on tonight's business agenda was discussed and forwarded. The website update funded by ARPA following result of the third-party website audit. On tonight's agenda, we also have the first hearing review for the 2023 and 2024 first quarter budget amendment. The next FedRex meeting will be on May 28 at 5 p.m. In this chamber. And at that meeting, we will be reviewing and discussing the debt issuance bonds ordinance for the maintenance facility that come to council in June. That ends my report. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, LTAC, Councilmember Sepidasa.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next meeting is going to be tomorrow, May 8th at 10 a.m. And we'll be discussing updates to our bylaws as well as hearing from several applicants for the lodging tax grants. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Regional Committees Report, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. So I would like to start off my report with this week, May 5th to May 11th, is Professional Municipal Clerks Week. And thank you to our clerks. They keep the city going. There's really no other way to say it. Without our city clerks and the training that they have and the experience that they have, we wouldn't be a very well-run city. And today's Stephanie's birthday, so happy birthday.
Yay,
to
happy
you.
birthday.
And happy Clerks Week. You guys deserve as much, we should have given you bouquets of flowers, but thank you very much for all you do and for all the help you provide to the council, because I know that I can ask you for help and you'll help us, so thank you so much.
Sure, I appreciate that. It's also John Hutton's birthday, so.
Oh, happy birthday,
Didn't want to
John.
let that slip by either.
Stephanie's younger, in case you couldn't tell.
May 12th to 18th is Police Week. And Public Works Week is May 19th to 25th. And Military Appreciation Month is May. So May has a lot of things going on, but those were the highlights that I wanted to call attention to. Council, AWC has put out a call for boards and commissions. They are, generally speaking, state boards, so you need to apply to AWC. They'll choose who they want to forward on to the state. And the email came out yesterday. If you are interested and you can't find that email, let me know and I'll help you find it, because there's some interesting things to apply for. And, I've been just doing my thing, going to a lot of meetings. Today, Rick Perez and I met with Metro about the rapid ride plan over the next few years. Up until 2039, Metro is planning increasing rapid ride bus routes. And unfortunately, one of the bus routes in Federal Way, which would be currently Route 181, which goes from here to Green River, is on the third tier which will be years and years before that could possibly be a rapid ride bus route, so unfortunately. But it was nice to get that information. And the last thing I'd just like to say is I'd like to support council members around our region. Councilmember Yolanda Trout Manuel of Auburn. She's been a council member for at least 2 terms down there. She is currently president of the Hispanic Municipal Officials Organization for National League of Cities. And yesterday, she was at the White House. She was invited to represent council members across the country for Cinco de Mayo. And the president was there. She said there were about 200 people. And quite an honor for someone. There were only 2 council members there representing NLC, and one of them was our very own council member, Trout Manuel. So congratulations to them.
And she met with the president individually at the NLC conference
Yes,
in
she
DC.
did. And he, yeah, he even hugged her there. So, yeah.
That's nice. That's really, she's great. And you know, she was as you know, but to let everybody else know, she was a major influence in getting us to join NLC.
Yes.
Along with the former council member with the hat.
Yes, yes,
Help
who
me.
has passed away.
I
yeah.
know.
His name will come to me.
Yes.
yeah. Yes.
I know. We'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, yes. Wow, she's getting a lot of face time with the president. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Speaking of president, council president report.
Oh, thank you. Well, not in that league, but thank heavens. But we did have a really interesting, by the way, I think she was a family of 12. Isn't that what she told me? Came from a family of 12?
I think it's 18.
Oh, God almighty. Okay, so it's Mother's Day. God bless her. So we had a wonderful meeting with the commissioners, some of the commissioners, regarding, at the special meeting this evening, regarding having a annual or a semi-annual or quarterly meeting with all of the commission members to discuss, you know, like shared calendar events and those kinds of things so that they aren't duplicating efforts. And so we're going to have an ad hoc committee. Thanks, Mayor, for getting me into another committee. And the people on this ad hoc committee to discuss the particulars. There's a lot of issues to discuss on how to have a meeting like this. The 2 members from the council, 3 members from the council, so we won't have a quorum, are going to be Councilmember Hahn and Councilmember McDaniels and myself. And I've already had 4 volunteers from the commissioners. I hope we receive more. Debbie Harvey from Senior Commission, and we have Jan Barber, who's thinking about it. Mary Schultz from the Human Services Commission, if she can't make it, Ken Stark will, and then Tom Medhurst from Planning. It was kind of interesting to have somebody from Planning getting involved. So stay tuned. We'll have a report on this at one of our next meetings on how we're going to have an annual meeting, at least, of our commission members. And so thank you to all those people who volunteered. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, now moving on to item 8, consent agenda. These items have gone through committee, can be passed all at once. I'll read them and ask for if an item would want to be considered for special or individualized consideration. Item A, minutes for the April 16th, 2024 regular and special meeting minutes. Item B, AP vouchers 3/16/24 through 4/15/24. Payroll vouchers 3/1/24 through 3/31/24. Item C, monthly financial report, March 2024. D, Fit On Health Subsidized Membership Agreement. Council, are there, from A through D, are there any items you would want pulled for special consideration? All right, Council President Kochmar.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve the entire consent agenda, and there's been a second. Is there any discussion?
No, but I do remember. It was Councilmember Bill Pelosi. from
That's
Auburn.
it. Bill Pelosi, a true gentleman, always wore a hat, always was just from a different generation and really,
I knew it would come to me.
I know, great. I know, he was a special man. Thank you. Okay, there's been, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Okay, public hearing, item 9, ordinance 2023 to 24 biennial budget amendment. Presentation from Steve Groom, our finance director.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I am almost there.
And Mayor, just to, it's not on the agenda, but just to make it clear, we need to open the public hearing.
Oh, okay. Yes, I now open the public hearing. All right, Steve?
Thank you. When we come to amend the budget, there's only about 3 reasons that we amend the budget. One of them is to carry forward expenses from the prior year. If there are expenses that you authorized in the last year, but we weren't invoiced, why we want to make sure that we carry the budget forward so that when we pay them, we don't goof up the current year's budget. The second thing is that there are expenses that weren't contemplated when we did the budget. Sometimes we have additional revenues, such as grants, where we want to recognize additional revenue and expenses. We don't have any of those this time. However, in your packet, as you can see, we do have quite a few budget carry forwards, and we've got a few expenses in the current year that we do want to cover. Specifically, there's nearly $40 million that was in the prior year's budget, and you say, well, where in the world did that money come from? It was revenue that was budgeted, it was revenue that was received, and we want to make sure that we carry forward the budget so that when we when the work is complete and we have invoices, why we can still pay it. And that is in these 4 areas. That's pretty straightforward. As you know, we had some additional expenses in the locker room. You authorized the work. We need to make sure that we cover it in the budget. We were able to cover $1.1 million with a combination of Parks Capital Fund balance and then some interest revenue that we did receive, and so that will cover those additional expenses. Jail cost, when we made the current year's budget, that was back in '22, and we were forecasting, we forecasted low. We have to course correct. The police department staff has reforecasted, and we think that the current year, our budget is going to be $2.2 million lower. So far, we have had a first quarter where our revenue is, we've had a little bit of interest. We have had sales tax and permits have not been nearly as strong as they were last year. They're better than budget, but we are watching it quarter by quarter. So far, we have actually received revenue that we can cover 1/4 of the amount of jail costs that we anticipate having to spend. So we're going to watch that carefully, and hopefully next quarter we will be able to do more of the same and perhaps make a little bit more ground on it. All of these items were discussed at FedRec on the 23rd. This is the public hearing. This is the opportunity for questions, and then later in the agenda will be the first reading. That's everything I think I can present. Thank you.
All right. Council, any questions of Steve? Okay. Is there any public comment?
I have no one signed up, Mayor.
All right. And Council President, do you have a motion with regard to the public hearing?
Thank you. I move to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, Steve. And we'll take this up again under the ordinance section of the agenda in first reading. Item 10, council business. Washington Attorney General opioid case settlement participation, Johnson & Johnson. Presentation from Ryan Cole, our city attorney.
You're still up, popping up here. Right, I am here to talk about another opioid settlement that was negotiated by the Attorney General. A little bit of background. Nationally, states and municipalities have sued the opioid manufacturers and distributors for the impacts caused by the opioid crisis. It's been an ongoing thing for many years. There's been a national settlement that's been brokered by most states and AGs and also municipalities. The Washington Attorney General was not satisfied with kind of our share or take, and chose to instead directly negotiate with all of the defendants in these matters. So we've already heard previously, this is not the first time we've talked about this topic, there was a previous settlement that had, I have the names of the defendants there, Ameriburgeons and some others. That was a separate settlement. This is exactly the same thing, but the defendant in this case is Johnson & Johnson. So that's what J&J stands for. Under the settlement agreement, which is called the One Washington MOU, basically, the state will take half of the settlement and use it. We already saw from the state reps that they're already appropriating some of that money for state purposes. And then the other half of the money, the other 50%, will be split up among all the municipalities of the state according to this One Washington MOU, which is the same way that the other lawsuit was handled. So we have no pending litigation against Johnson & Johnson. I'm sure everyone's aware of that. We haven't, the city of Federal Way has not sued any of the opioid manufacturers or distributors directly. Why we are involved here is because the Attorney General has negotiated a settlement basically on everybody's behalf. So even though we didn't sue them directly, if we are willing to waive our right to sue or give up our cause of action, we can be a part of this. The One Washington MOU lists our percentage share as 0.306%, and a whole bunch of numbers. Those numbers actually mean something when you get into these large settlement numbers. And I think I have the actual number on the next screen. So the actual total that Johnson & Johnson is paying is $123,340,000. I'm sorry, yeah, $340,000. Half of that goes to the state of Washington, and then we're splitting the rest, the 61.67 million, among all the municipalities and counties. And so our take, if I did the math right, is $188,000 for the city of Federal Way. That must be used for the specific opioid-related abatement, they're calling it, or mitigation. Yeah, that's listed in the One Washington MOU. So the Washington Attorney General has this matrix that they have worked out of the totals to date. So that $1.5 million number is how much the city of Federal Way will receive. It's amortized over a decade or so. We don't get it all at once. But all in, for all of the defendants, we will get, at the end of the day, $1.5 million. So there are no real downsides to signing this. All of the municipalities of the city, basically all of the municipalities of the state must sign up, or else the settlement fails. But we've already done this twice before, and all the cities, in the end, usually they get their settlements in at the last minute. So this is due by the 11th, so this is kind of the last council meeting that we can address this matter. So I'm here tonight to get authorization to enter into the settlement agreement brokered by the Washington Attorney General. Are there any questions?
Councilmember Sapadowski.
Yeah, thank you. And I think you answered my question, but I still wanted to clarify. The 1.5 million
Yes.
versus 188. Can you tell me when and how? Yeah.
1.5 million will be the total for all of the opioid lawsuits. So
That we get.
there were, I want to say, about 8 defendants in 3 different settlements. The one we're talking about tonight is just with Johnson & Johnson and all of its subsidiaries. And so that's what the $188,000 is.
And-
So this is technically a separate settlement, but we're using the same rubric or paradigm for all of these settlements. So that's what the One Washington MOU is.
Thank you. So the 1.5 would happen over what period of time?
I believe it's, I want to say 17 years. It could be, I think it's 17 years.
Thank you.
Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. I was just going to ask if there is at one point, wasn't there a way that we could get all the funding up front? Or,
No.
no?
I,
So it's
not-
just going
not
to
that I'm
trickle
aware.
in every year?
It is, and Steve actually has have you seen the schedule more recently than me? It's like $20,000 here and there.
We just received a settlement portion of it in February. It was 143,000.
Oh.
It's gonna take years.
It is, I know it's quite a long time to get all of it, and it's just going to a marked account that we haven't really decided how to spend yet.
It'll be restricted, right?
So who audits that, how we spend it?
Well, that's actually complicated. The state auditor ultimately audits all of our spending, but there's also another entity that's created by this One Washington MOU that has a chair from the county and some other representatives, basically when we spend money, we have to report back to them what the use was, and they will verify that it's an approved use.
So could some of that money go down to the nursery in Kent for babies who are born addicted to drugs, so that we could treat more babies?
I would have to look at the MOU. I believe that is one of the enumerated things. So it's pretty broad, as long as you can draw some nexus to damage caused by the opioid crisis, then you can usually spend it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember McDaniel?
Real quick, I'm going to rephrase the questions they kind of asked. So the 188, is that strictly for the Johnson & Johnson?
It is.
But the 1.5 is for the additional cases that are outstanding at the moment?
They're not, they're already settled.
Oh, they are?
So we've already entered into settlement agreements for everything but the 188.
Gotcha. And then the settlements that have already been taken care of, did the state get a one-time payment, or are they doing the same thing as
It was
us?
the same agreement, so they got half. The state took 50%, and then the municipalities of the state get the other half, and we get the 0.306% of that half.
But did they get a one-time payment, or are they getting the same 17 years deal?
I believe that, I don't know.
I'll rephrase it, are they sitting on our money and taking interest?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look into what, because I wasn't really focused on how they were getting paid. I was looking at how we were getting paid.
That's how they keep us.
But yeah, the fact that they're already, I don't know. I'll have to, I don't want to.
If you could find out and let me know, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Walsh?
Yeah, two questions. First, so Johnson & Johnson's the last of the suits?
I believe this is the last one.
Okay. And the main question, I don't know whether you can answer this or not, did it, with Washington going alone rather than joining the national, did it make much of a difference? I mean, are we, in the end, getting more than what we would have gotten if it would have been joined the national settlement?
Yes, we are getting more. So it was, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was significant. I mean, when you're talking about how large these settlements are, like we're 0.306 and we're still getting $1.5 million out of it. The state's 50%. So I want to, it was 10 or $20 million difference.
Okay. All right.
So it was significant.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Council President Kuchma, do you have a motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to authorize the city participation in the settlement agreement negotiated by the Washington Attorney General and authorize the execution of all required documents.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Item B, ARPA funds for economic development website update. Presentation from Tanya Carter, Economic Development Director. Tanya?
It's not going up. Right here. Oh, right there. Okay, got it.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Good evening, Mayor, Council President, Council members. Tanya Carter, your Economic Development Director. I'm here tonight to review something that was presented at FEDERAC at the last meeting. The Economic Development website update and request for funding for updating those websites. So just a little bit of background. The council approved economic development ARPA funding from multiple external websites to the city to be audited. And council requested that economic development present an audit review before approving updates in that audit. that were identified. And Economic Development presented those results to the FEDRAC Committee at the April 23rd meeting. And tonight, we will just summarize the audit for council and request the update project for all the websites be approved. And this is just a really brief recap of what we went over at FEDRAC. So essentially, this was a great opportunity for economic development to look at all of the external economic development and tourism-related websites that the city manages from various departments. And what we used as our basis was that we updated recently our City of Federal Way city-wide website. And so some of the things that we took away, or that the third party that audited all of our websites took away as kind of core things to focus on in their audit, was the different let's say, branding signals that our new website has. The blue on blue, which is a representation of our city colors, the wave pattern that you see on all of the pages on our website, as well as our Federal Way logo and the style. And so this is just, again, I won't go through it. It's a brief summary of all the websites that were reviewed that are all external to the City of Federal Way's city website. And all of, on the left-hand column, are all of the items that were reviewed and audited. And then a summary of the audit results. The audit findings were essentially that there are opportunities for user experience improvements. There are opportunities to better reach our target audiences that we are trying to reach. There are also opportunities to align with cities that we are competitive with, so that we can offer the same experience to the target audiences, as well as making some adjustments, because there are a lot of kind of internal management improvements that can be made in order to streamline the management of all of those websites and make it a lot easier for staff to handle those loads. And so the policy question before you tonight is, should the City Council authorize staff to utilize ARPA funds for the update to the external economic development and tourism related websites?
All right.
And the options are before you.
Okay, council, any questions? Councilor Bertrand, do you have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the proposed ARPA Economic Development website update.
Second.
All right, I say, do I hear a second? Going next, sorry, I was at a auction on Saturday, so I started getting into auction mode. Exactly. So it was sold. All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sold. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
I think it was funny the first time, right? All right, thank you, Tanya. Exactly. All right. Item 11, ordinances, first reading. Item A, Council Bill 878, ordinance 2023 to 24, biennial budget amendment, an ordinance, I'm sorry. We don't, I'm not going to read that. The presentation was previously made during a public hearing. Do we have any public comment?
We do not have anyone signed up.
No public comment. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title before I do?
Council Bill 878, Ordinance 2023-2024 Biennial Budget Amendment, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington, relating to amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget.
All right, thank you. Councilor Bertrand, do you have a motion?
I move to forward the proposed ordinance to the May 21st, 2024 council meeting for second reading and enactment.
Second.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. Council reports. First meeting of the month, we start at position number 1, Councilmember Sefa Dawson.
Thank you, Mayor, and, oh, I did have a birthday.
Yeah.
So,
Happy birthday.
since our last meeting.
Yes. Fun.
And, right? And it was just beautiful because I wasn't planning on anything, and that's, I think, when you feel loved and appreciated by people around you, because I still have birthday parties coming up, so, thank you.
Very good. The celebration continues. That's right. Thank you. Councilor McDaniel.
Yeah, nothing really too big today. I have finished reading through most of my council paperwork, including all the open meeting and stuff like that. I am curious to talk a little bit more, and I've talked to you already about it, the downtown sign idea. And I'm looking for having more education on Rule 19.21 in the future. So I'm looking forward to that.
Help me out, man. What's
What is it?
19.21?
You got to look it up.
As the mayor.
Ryan, see me after the meeting. All right, thank you. 19.21, thank you. Councilor Honda.
Thank you. So I did forget to let council know that tomorrow night is the PIC meeting on Zoom, 7 o'clock. There, we're going to be discussing the King Conservation District rates proposal, which we're not a part of that district, I believe. Regional boards and committee assignments. Regional alignment on Ashley and refugee crisis. Metro fee youth transit passes and how that's going, and the PIC operating policies, and levies and ballot measures, because there are some that are coming up. So that's 7 o'clock. You can always join by Zoom if you're interested, and, or if you have any concerns with what we're talking about, let me know. I would like to also thank the Senior Commission for being here, and tomorrow is at 2 o'clock, from 2 to 4 is their monthly meeting, if anyone wants to join us. Council President and I are meeting again with the school board directors, Lakeisha Phillips and School Board Director Trudy Davis, and we're meeting next week, I believe it is. And I think we really work well together. It's nice to be able to sit down and just talk about our concerns together as a community. It's been quite nice. My husband and I attended Mamma Mia, which is being a play at Federal Way High School. So all of the high schools are doing their spring plays right now, and their fall and spring plays are what support the programs, those programs in the high schools. Mamma Mia was so much fun. It was 2.5 hours of just a lot of really good music that I know and know the words to the songs. But at the end, they had a sing-along, and to see the students dressed in clothes that I wore when I was in high school is kind of cool. But if they have 3 more plays, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7 o'clock. Tickets are about $12. And if you want a ticket, go online and get it, because I don't believe any of their plays are sold out, but they had a good amount of people there for their Sunday matinee. So please go see it, and support the other high schools. These kids are really working hard, and they're very talented, and it's just a joy to watch them. And, no, I think that's it. Oh, no, we also attended a fishing derby down in Auburn about a week ago. It was with our Lions Club here in Federal Way and all the regional Lions Clubs, and it was for children with disabilities. And I was out on the dock with a little boy in a wheelchair, and he was catching fish for the first time. He was so excited. And some teenagers came and were saying some really not nice things about him being in a wheelchair. And other teenagers came to his rescue and actually told these other kids to leave and not come back. And so it was nice to see them supporting a child who couldn't support himself. Anyway, but that's a yearly thing. They do it every year, and it's the first time I've gone. It was really fun to watch. So.
That's really nice. Thank you. Thank you for that story. I think actually it's on the calendar for me to go Thursday, Mamma Mia. So,
Oh, yeah, you'll have fun.
David, we're going, right?
Yeah, you should wear anything you have from back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We'll leave it there. Councilor Tran?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to take this opportunity to wish all the mothers out there wonderful Mother Day next Sunday. And I also want to wish my mother a happy birthday publicly. I never talk about her publicly, but today I'm going to make one exception. She is amazing woman. I'll share with you just a little bit about her. When my father passed away, she was only 33. And she has 7 of us. And she stayed widow, stayed single, raised us, all of us. I don't know how she did it. I mean, we were still in Vietnam at that time, growing up in a third world country with, no safety net that we can rely on. But for her, at that young age, taking care of 7 of us, she's just amazing. I'm glad that she's here now with us, and the more I think about her, I am so grateful. And yeah, for that, happy mom, happy mother, mom.
That's great, thank you. Councilmember Walsh.
I'd like to join Councilmember Tran with wishing all the mothers a happy Mother's Day, especially the 3 mothers that are here on the dais and my own wife as well. And so anyway, happy Mother's Day. This last Friday evening, I had the opportunity of, I was invited to a fundraiser. It was by the Table Church that's in the mall, and they do a lot of community outreach. They give out a lot of backpacks. I think that this last year they gave out 900 backpacks to school kids, and work with the homeless population as well, and had a fundraiser, and they asked me to just speak briefly on how the faith community helps in the community and helps support the city, and I was able to share with them that speaking for myself on the city council, I greatly appreciate the work that the faith community does in helping the community. We couldn't, we couldn't do it alone. I mean, it's a bigger task than any of us can handle, and what the faith community and other nonprofits do is essential to the welfare of our community. And so, anyway, and that is my report.
Can I add something? Can I add? I was there too.
Oh, yes, Lydia was there also.
And he sang for us, so it was my first time to hear him sing. And yes, you do have an amazing voice.
Awesome. That's great. Okay, Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for reminding me that Mother's Day is coming up and to get flowers at the farmer's market. I appreciate that. I had an opportunity to go to the DeVita building that's been taken over by the church run by Dan Larson, and the first children's museum in Federal Way is there. I would suggest every council member to give Pastor Larson a call and go tour that building. When I say First Children's Museum, they've actually built a room, not in their church, but on the very end, where they have designed for children to come in and be in a police department and be in a fire department and be in a doctor's office, and they've done a very, very good job, and hopefully eventually they'll open it to the public. That's the whole thought of that, so I'd encourage everybody to take a look at that. And then I'm going to say next council meeting I will be out of town. I'm getting my second knee done so I can ski better this winter. So I will not be here. And I wanted to acknowledge my cousin who walked in just a few minutes ago, the guy with the beard. He's here to pick me up to take me home, and he was an elected official down in Sacramento, so he said he'd pick me up, so he's been staying with me. Thank you.
All right, your ride's here. Great, thank you. And then good luck with the knee surgery. Congratulations on that. All right, Council President.
I think, Councilmember Honda, are we meeting on the town hall with the school board directors on the 25th?
We'll talk about that.
Okay, so just to let you know, that's coming up very quickly. But we're meeting with the school board directors on the 13th, which is next Monday. And so we'll be confirming when we're going to meet with them. But remember last time when we had a meeting with the school board directors and the council, and we noticed it, and meaning that we put a notice in the paper, and that we met at Starbucks by Safeway. It was very successful. People loved it. And so we're trying to do that again. And we're hoping that it's going to be very soon. So we'll let you know exactly when. And that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And before I adjourn, I just want to say Happy Mother's Day to the mothers here on the dais. Happy Mother's Day to those in my life and to our staff and out in the community as well. So thank you, everybody. Great meeting. It's an honor to serve with each and every one of you. With that, we're adjourned.
So you're going to call me